Hello, everyone. It's just me today. The reason why I'm in front of the camera today is because I'm going to introduce the person who will be on our show this week. Who is it? Let me show you this. Do you see this pamphlet? We've been invited to this exhibition. Now you can see who the star of this episode will be. You can't. Director, can you zoom in on these pamphlets? You can see it now, right? Make sure to look forward to this week's episode, everyone.
한국 캐나다 수교 60주년 기념 전시회에 왔습니다. 그래서 오늘 옷이 좀 평소와 다르게 굉장히 화려하지 않나요? 그럼 이제 비도 오고 하니까 전시회장으로 들어가 보도록 하겠습니다. 고고!
The day we came to meet the ambassador was the day of the opening event for the exhibition. A lot of people were busily preparing for it.
오셨어요. Hi.
Hello.
Carly, right?
That's right.
Ah, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. Yes, I'm Carly Mortimer. I'm the Vice President of the National Access Arts Center, and I got to curate this exhibition.
Yes.
So what happened was,
I almost forgot. A very special guest will be meeting our team on the day we interview the ambassador. It's the curator of this exhibition. She has flown to Korea to take part in the event and will explain the exhibition just for us.
this exhibition celebrates the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Korea and Canada, and has been prepared in collaboration with the Korean Foundation, the Embassy of Canada in Seoul, and the National Access Arts Center in Canada. Here, you can see the works of 20 artists with disabilities from Korea and Canada.
First of all, I want to ask you about the title. It is the intense difference of its own, right? What's the meaning of the title?
The title comes from a direct quote from one of the artists, Wan Lee, and it's a quality that he's talking about that artists have, that they could experience the kind of the minute differences and special kind of moments of each moment. They have this ability to perceive things that other people don't. They can experience the intense difference of its own.
As Kyla just mentioned, at the center of this exhibition is the late Korean-Canadian artist Won Lee. He suffered from severe polio, but nevertheless became a world-renowned sculptor with a burning desire to create.
So can we look around some of the paintings?
Absolutely.
Paintings?
So in this room, we have a lot of work by artist Pixel Kim. It's
Yes,
a
I
Pixel.
know Pixel Kim. He's very famous in Korea as well.
He is.
Have you heard of an artist called Pixel Kim? Kim Hyun-woo, who calls himself Pixel Kim, uses pixels as sculptural elements to create his own universe.
Here he's using these grids to kind of explain places that he's been. And the lines that intersect them talk about the connections that they have. It comes from a way when he would start in school to kind of describe the other classmates that he was working with. So he'd do these diagrams of his class and his classmates and where they would sit, and then he would kind of grid them and code them and talk about the connections between them. So a lot of his grid work, he'll be explaining what it's like to be in a place, what that experience is like.
So I've heard that he has done some works in Canada, right?
He has. We have a couple of them here. He's very inspired by his trips to Canada, and we adore him so much. We're bringing him out a third time this fall. And so he talks about, this is a Canada Aurora math drawing. So in Canada we have a phenomenon called the Aurora Borealis, or also known as the Northern Lights. And he is a big fan of this experience. So he represented it in a way I've never seen before, through mathematics and big color blocking.
In August 2019, Pixel Kim held solo exhibitions in Canada. With a special connection to Canada, he's participating in this exhibition as an honorary ambassador in celebration of Korea and Canada's 60th anniversary of diplomatic ties. We decided to explore more.
So Michelle Benny will use, she kind of does these architectural works like Book of Life, Enchanted Kingdom, and she has these impossible angles, also known as an Archimedean vantage point, a way that, buildings could never exist and we could never experience them. And she repeats this grid a lot, not unlike we'll see in Pixel Kim's work, and we'll also see in Wan Lee's work. This idea of a grid and connection is something that they've all used, and a tool that they all use independently to kind of talk about how ideas are connected.
I thought the intensity that could be felt in the paintings and the way the author was actively expressing themselves was really cool.
I know we sometimes use art as a treatment tool, right? So, but I think it is also very important to look at their works as art it is.
You're absolutely right. So art can often be used as therapy, but when we look at it in that lens for artists with disabilities, it does really limit what we see. So not seeing it as just therapy, as just a tool, but really this is a true artistic expression by bona fide artists.
I found an unusual painting while browsing through the exhibition.
Looks like Korean traditional painting.
It absolutely
like
is.
Calligraph.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is from an exchange that we did with a sister organization in Seoul. So we exchanged materials and talked about the traditional ways that the two countries' artists make artwork. And so they took that and made it their own.
As the exhibition was in celebration of the 60th anniversary of bilateral relations, these works, which were created by sharing traditional materials and ideas between Korea and Canada, felt more meaningful.
Hello.
Who are we so happy to see?
Nice to see you again.
It is the Canadian ambassador.
Ambassador, how did you first come up with this idea, this exhibition?
Well, I don't think I want to take all the credit. There's a lot of artists, and it's the fruit of a collaboration between Canadian artists and Korean artists, and that was really the theme that we wanted to emphasize this year for our special anniversary of 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations. And I think again, showing the commonalities, showing the importance of human rights, diversity, inclusion, so different perspectives, intense differences, but incorporating all of those. So it sort of fit quite naturally with all the other work we've done in other areas, trade, diplomacy. So I like to think it was a little bit of an organic process alongside, but it wasn't me who came up with it all on my own.
Since we are here at an exhibition celebrating the 60th anniversary of bilateral relations, we should find out more about Korea and Canada's 60-year friendship. So, we are going to talk in depth with the ambassador about that now.
So, Ambassador, how does it feel to be in Korea as the ambassador of Canada as the two countries celebrate the 60th anniversary?
Well, it's a very exciting time. This is a little bit of a dream assignment for a diplomat. Diplomats spend a lot of time trying to encourage people to speak together, to try and reconcile differences. And whereas here, the story for Canada and Korea now is this incredible partnership, this real momentum, and really taking full advantage of the potential in our relationship. So it's really, it's been a very special time. It's also been very busy, but that's the way we like it, so it's good.
So how do you evaluate our bilateral relationship during the 60 years?
Well, I guess the first thing to highlight is that the relationship didn't start 60 years ago. There was a long past of people-to-people ties in particular before we formally established diplomatic relations in 1963. But then since 1963, we've really gone from strength to strength, and there's been all sorts of significant milestones, free trade agreement signed in 2014.
Exchanges between Korea and Canada began about 100 years ago. In the late 19th century and the early 20th century, Canadian missionaries and scholars carried out various activities on Korean soil. James the first Canadian missionary to Korea, came to Korea in 1888. He compiled the first Korean English dictionary and engaged in wide-ranging translation work. Olliver-Avison, who came to Korea in 1893, was a missionary and physician. He became the private physician to Emperor Kojong. Frank Schofield, who came to Korea in 1916 and remained until his death in 1970, participated in the March 1st movement during the Japanese occupation and became the first foreigner to be buried in the National Cemetery. After the government of the Republic of Korea was established on August 15, 1948, Canada recognized it as a state in April 1949. And when the Korean War broke out on June 25, 1950, Canada sent around 27,000 troops to support South Korea. On January 14, 1963, South Korea and Canada finally established diplomatic relations. In September 1981, a Canadian Prime Minister visited South Korea for the first time. And August 1982 marked the first visit to Canada by a Korean president. Having maintained a special partnership since the early 90s, the relationship developed further in 2014. The Korea-Canada FTA was signed, and bilateral relations were upgraded to a strategic partnership.
Now, in our 60th anniversary year, moving into this comprehensive strategic partnership. And I think that's where we've really seen an upgrade in the partnership. We've always understood each other, gotten along well, close ties of all, economic, people-to-people, cultural ties. But now I think there's also a recognition that in the world in which we live and the challenging geopolitical context, there is something special about the Korea-Canada partnership, and it's now going to be more mature, and there's more we can do to work together. And supporting common aims diplomatically, strengthening a rules-based international order, strengthening our support for human rights, democratic values as well. There's quite a strong emphasis on our shared values. So there's so much to do.
So your Prime Minister recently visited Korea. So what kind of topics were discussed?
Well, a lot of those topics. First and foremost, the Prime Minister was here accepting the invitation from President Yoon for the return visit after President Yoon visited Ottawa. And so there was a symmetry there and picking up on a lot of the same themes. But it really was about elevating our comprehensive strategic partnership. So obviously, intense focus on diplomatic issues, relations with the rest of the world, how we can work together at the United Nations, how we can work together on regional issues, relations with China, with Japan, with the United States, all important partners for both of our countries, and the implementation for both of our countries of our Indo-Pacific strategies. But there was also a focus on economic issues, economic security, supply chain resilience, The two governments signed a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, on critical minerals supply chain. So really quite an important topic as both of our countries are moving towards a green transition. But one of the aspects of the Prime Minister's program was to travel to Gapyeong. And Gapyeong has very special significance for Canadians in the context of the Korean War. It was the site of particular Canadian valor in the defense of Seoul in 1951. And we now have a monument there, so it's a place to visit. But we also have now a Canada Trail. So you can walk all the way up to the top of what was once known as Hill 677. And there's a lovely, I shouldn't give this away, I should make people go for the walk and find out for themselves, but there's a lovely Canada House at the top. I won't say what it is, people can go and find out for themselves. But it's a beautiful place to, we hope, stimulate reflection on the past and the future. It's about community engagement, opening up those beautiful Korean hills to people to walk, because they're not always easy to access. They're very, very steep. And the Prime Minister went to the top.
Whoa.
So it's, to my mind, that was a highlight in terms of tying together our 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations and the all-important 70th anniversary of the armistice.
So you just mentioned we elevated our relations to comprehensive strategic relationship last year.
On September 24th last year, during the South Korea-Canada Summit, the two heads of state decided to elevate relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership. President Yoon and Prime Minister Trudeau announced bilateral relations would be elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership based on the 5 shared priorities of values, security, prosperity, sustainability, and other areas. Korea's definition of a bilateral partnership is divided into 7 stages. The comprehensive strategic partnership is the second stage. Generally speaking, strategic refers to the need for close cooperation in many areas, including economics and politics. Comprehensive is used for a country that has shared values, and partner is used to reflect the level of trust and emotional affinity between the two countries.
What made us to elevate our relations to that level at this point?
First of all, we had a strong foundation in the relationship. And I think it's both countries looking around, lifting their gaze beyond their immediate neighborhoods, and thinking about how important it is to develop friendships and partnerships internationally, and that we need to seize those opportunities. And I think for both Canada and Korea, in some ways, our geographies are very, very different. But we have strong connections to our specific regions. You know, we have a huge border with our neighbor to the south. Sometimes we have to work hard to look beyond our relationship with the United States and think a little bit more broadly. With our Indo-Pacific strategy, we're really wanting to put a Pacific lens on our foreign policy, and not going to ignore the Atlantic, but we realize how important that is. And I think similarly for Korea, looking beyond its immediate neighborhood, realizing that that its foreign policy needs to be global in reach. Things that happen in faraway places on the globe have a direct impact on each of us. And we no longer are able to control issues just one country alone. You have to work together. And I think that was another really important theme, was climate change, the fight against climate change. And I think both countries have realized we have to work together, and there's specificities of our regions where we can bring it together and hopefully build on that potential.
So Canada is the second most popular destination for immigration among Koreans. And it also has the first largest population of overseas Koreans living there.
Following the US, China, and Japan, Canada has the fourth highest number of Korean expatriates. As of 2021, more than 237,000 ethnic Koreans were living in Canada. The number of Korean nationals entering Canada increased greatly after the late 1980s with large-scale investment immigration. It then slowed somewhat in the early 1990s. Then, in 1997, the figure surpassed 4,000 for the first time. Immigration declined in 2020 due to COVID-19, but rebounded strongly in 2021. The number of Korean students studying abroad in Canada each year surpassed 15,000, but decreased to around 10,000 due to COVID-19. Until 2020, Korea had the third largest number of international students in Canada. However, COVID-19 affected the entirety of person-to-person interactions between the two countries. The number of Koreans visiting Canada reached 260,000 in 2019. But decreased to 30,000 in 2020. The number of Canadians visiting Korea decreased from 200,000 in 2019 to 30,000 in 2020. In the meantime, as of June 2023, the number of Canadians residing in Korea is around 28,000. The number decreased after the outbreak of COVID-19, but has slowly been recovering.
So how does this influence bilateral relations?
Well, the importance of people-to-people ties is huge. That's a theme that runs through all of our connections. Canada has been so enriched by the contributions of Canadians of Korean descent. So we look very positively on building relations with your country. And I think there's increasing numbers of Canadians also who are very drawn to all things Korean, all wanting to find out more about what's happening in Korean culture, in the Korean economy. So I think it really enriches our relationship. And it certainly makes my job as a diplomat even more enjoyable.
So Korea and Canada agreed to expand the yearly quota for the working holiday program, right?
Korea and Canada agreed to renew a working holiday program. Main highlights include 1. Increasing the yearly quota from 4,000 to 12,000. 2. Increasing the age cap to 35. 3. Relaxing working hours from 25 hours per week and 1,300 hours per year to 40 hours per week and 2,080 hours per year.
First and foremost, it's an element that both Prime Minister Trudeau and President Yoon share, is a real focus on youth engagement, youth participation, and preparing for the next generation. And so that focus on studying, the ability to work abroad for young people to diversify their work experiences by traveling abroad, be it coming to Canada, coming to Korea. I think there was immediate consensus that that was something important. Also, it's about the next 60 years. Yes, we're celebrating the relationship now and all the great things that have happened in the past, but it's about making this sustainable and positive into the future. And that's certainly a theme that's very important for Canada, and it's something that runs through our Indo-Pacific strategy, is making a sustainable commitment. The strategy isn't just about saying we're here now, we're going to be here into the medium and long term. So the Youth Mobility Agreement, it might seem like just a narrow agreement, but it is connected to all these themes.
So what are some areas you'd like to see further cooperation between two countries?
Oh my goodness, we have so much going on. I'm not certain the rest of the embassy team won't be happy if I start listing off other things for everybody to do. But I think we really want to focus now on getting the message out. So we have such great understanding with our diplomatic colleagues here in Seoul. And we're really focusing now on also engaging with other stakeholders, academics, youth groups, civil society, just to show the potential of this relationship. And again, that's speaking to sustainability. So I think across the board on all the themes where we're already quite active, I think that's going to be a real focus. I'd be interested, also something is exchanges between media, between Canada and Korea, sharing experiences. I mean, it's one of the really important areas of our cooperation is promoting democracy, human rights, freedom of expression. And it's great to see young women journalists as well. So it would be interesting to create some exchanges amongst different media outlets in Canada and Korea. So I'm thinking my team is not going to be happy with me for giving them more work, but who knows? I see promise in that. So
it would be very good to have that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, a little bit like this exhibition, bringing different voices together. So.
Through an interview with the ambassador, Korea and Canada are much closer than I thought. After the interview, the opening event for the exhibition began. A lot of special guests related to the exhibition came to make the event more meaningful.
오늘 기분이 어떠세요? 이렇게 많은 사람들이 와서 그림 보고 있는데.
네, 기분이 행복하고 너무 좋습니다.
캐나다 갔다 왔다고 들었어요.
네.
캐나다의 어떤 점이 좋았어요?
저는 오타와 커뮤니케이션입니다.
It's a real pleasure and honor to open an exhibition on the 10th Diplomacy Song that commemorates the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Korea and Canada.
One of the areas that I really wanted to emphasize today where Canada and Korea want to work together is building diverse and inclusive societies, and this is really what this exhibition is all about. We really believe that diversity makes our societies stronger.
To celebrate the occasion, a quartet gave a special performance. During the exhibition, I looked back at myself to see if I had been living in a world of stereotypes that society has imposed on me or that I have created.
I think it's really important for audience members to not only seek out things that are familiar to them, but to also understand, appreciate, and seek out things that are a little bit different. And also hearing from the voices of a community that you might not think about on a regular day-to-day basis. Use the power of the arts, look at the works that are here, and open your minds to a new community that is all around us, right? 1 in 5, 1 in 8 citizens around the world identify as having a disability. I think it's about time that we begin to understand their perspectives a little bit more.
What could we do to lower the barriers of prejudice we hold against each other?
일단 저는 많이 노출되는 게 필요하다고 생각합니다. 그래서 전시회장도 많이 보시고 또 언론에서도 장애예술인들의 활동을 좀 많이 소개하고 이렇게 하면서 자연스럽게 서로가 이제 인식을 갖게 되고 또 평가도 하면서 발전할 수 있지.
I wondered what Won Lee would have thought if he had seen this exhibition. I asked his wife.
이 세상에 계셨으면 너무나도 활짝 웃으시면서 이 전시회를 어떤 전시회보다도 좋아하셨을 거예요. 색안경을 끼고 우리 장애 작가님들을 보시지 않으셨으면 좋겠어요. 장애 작가님들 앞에 장애라는 그 단어가 하나 붙어 있는 것 뿐이지 다른 어떤 작가님들에게도 밀리지 않는 파워와 생각과 감정과 모든 것들이 이 작품 안에 숨어져 있습니다. 장애인 작가라는 그런 고정관념은 다 버리시고 이 전시회를 와서 관람을 하신다면 여러분은 아마도 굉장히 어마어마하게 멋진 미술 컬렉터가 어느 순간 되어 계실 거예요.
A few weeks later, we went to Jeju Island.
Nuri, why are you in Jeju Island?
Oh, didn't I tell you last time? The World Congress of the World Federation of the Deaf was held from July 20th to 26th in Jeju. And remember the exhibition we were just at? The Korea-Canada 60th Anniversary Intense Difference of Its Own exhibition was also held here. Meaningful exhibition held at a special venue. I wonder what people thought about this exhibition. One of the areas that the ambassador mentioned she'd like to see Korea and Canada work together is building a diverse and inclusive society. This exhibition might have been held because a lot of people are hoping for the same thing. A society that accepts each other's differences as they are and respects each other's diversity. I hope Korea and Canada can work on building such a society based on our 60 years of friendship.